All right, welcome everybody. My name is Peter Del Tondo. I am your host for the daily creative challenges here in Adobe XD. Thank you guys so much for joining us. We're going to be doing some really cool stuff with Photoshop today. I know for some of you guys, like myself, I don't use Photoshop too much anymore because I design everything in XD. So that's been, the go-to now for user interface, user experience design projects. But there's still a lot of times where you might want to be bringing over past files from Photoshop and importing them into XD, or in this case, grabbing assets. Maybe that's photography, clippings, etc. Some special effects that you want to bring over. So we'll be talking about how you guys can do that today. And thanks so much. We have Evan Place, one of my teammates. Evan's birthday is today, so make sure you wish him a happy birthday. Thank you so much for joining us today, bud. We've got Namra, Beck, Tim, Rathel, Lucia, Richard. Thank you guys all so much for tuning in. Really excited that you guys are here. If it is your first time joining us, make sure you join the Discord community. That's where all the conversation is going to go on outside of these live streams. So make sure that when you come over here to Discord, you guys are going to want to live in this current challenge area. And over here is where you'll be able to post your work, share your Behance project URL, or create a link to showcase your project afterwards directly from Adobe XD. And you'll be able to share that. And you can see all the awesome feedback. Agata, again, just to give you a shout out, I love seeing somebody coming in here and giving such detailed and great feedback to the community. It's really, really fantastic. So thank you guys so much for diving into that. Remember, the more you put in, the more you're going to get out of that. So really, really great. So let's jump into today's challenge. We are going to be creating, where we have it here, we're going to be creating a photo app today. And so we're going to try to incorporate some photo filters, which will create kind of those photo layers in Photoshop here, and then bring them over through Creative Cloud and be able to then prototype out our design accordingly. So let's jump down here. I'm going to check out some inspiration. So again, I've mentioned this in the past streams. If you guys have tuned in to any time I've hosted before, I'm a big fan of photo apps or video apps being either light UI or dark UI. I don't like incorporating lots of colors. The reason is that it gets very distracting from what it is you're building. If we take a look in here, this is a great example where the focus is on the photo itself and nothing is really distracting away from that. If this background was, say, purple or blue, this would all of a sudden be very distracting and it would take away from the photo itself. So I really like, again here, a dark UI. It's not distracting in any way. And so it lets the model here stand out accordingly. And if you guys check out, the biggest apps out there, things like Instagram, Visco filters, etc., there's a pattern there. It's always light, dark UI. So I would encourage you to stay away from those red backgrounds, the blue backgrounds, gradient backgrounds. I don't think it's the ideal choice for this type of application. And those are the kind of design decisions that you guys will be making throughout all your projects. So really good stuff to think through on that. And Tim, thank you for clicking the link, posting the link there. Make sure you join in at behance.net/challenge/XD to go over and get the files. And so let's hop back there really quick. Again, you can come back each day. You can download the starter file or watch the video, whether that's the live feed here or a past day. That's going to be your starting point. All right, so without further ado, let's start jumping in. So I've set up one or two things here real quickly. I've just got my artboard set up. And then what I've done up here is I went with a 4:5 photo ratio, just because that's like ideal for Instagram if you don't do a perfect square. So what you could do simply is just start literally with a box. I make this 4:5. I'm going to lock my aspect ratio and I can just quickly start pumping this up. And I want to hit a point where it's not on a fractional photo. So over here, I think I've got this at 328 by 410. So we can just knock this up a little bit more. All right, cool. And so now I've got my image. I'm just going to make this red so you guys can see that there. And I've got my border, and whatever kind of image you guys want to do, you can bring that over. Again, I'm a big fan of the Photo Splash plugin, so I can quickly come in here and I could search and say, you know, model. And here we've got a nice photo, and boom, I've got my model. So you can come in, pick the photo that you guys want to utilize, and we can go from there. I'm going to use this one today. I think this photo is kind of cool. I like the different colors in it, and we can mess around with a couple of these as well. So let's pull this in. I'm going to center that up. Now there's a couple of things that we know we're going to want on this as well. So just before we start applying our filters and pulling stuff over from Photoshop, I'm going to open up my Nucleo icon set, and I know I'm going to need things like, let's say, an edit icon. Let's come over here. Let's do maybe 16 pixels. I want glyph, which is going to be more of a filled in icon. And I like this. So we've got an edit icon. I'm just going to grab a couple others. So like contrast, crop. This is great. Let's see, something like settings. That's fantastic. And let's see if there's anything else that I want. I think that works well. Okay, so I've got some of the basics. And again, there's probably a lot more that would generally be used, but for the purposes of this exercise, we're just going to keep it really simple since we're kind of short on time today. So I've got some of the basics that I want. Now I'm going to set up also a quick screen before this. And I'm just going to, again, bring this down. I want to do kind of a gallery view. So actually, let's do this divided by 2. And then let's do -8. And that should give us some room here for padding. Okay, that's pretty good. All right, so I'm now going to come in. Actually, let's use repeat grid. Why is that? Oh, I have a shadow on these. Let's turn that off. Okay, so now I'm going to use repeat grid. And I'm going to pull this down, and I'm going to get a series of images. I'm going to ungroup that. And now, let's ungroup these as well. All right, now I'm going to grab all these images. Again, let's put in a person so we get a little bit more variety. And I'm going to quickly come in and grab some photos. Oh, that one's really cool too. That one's cool. All right, some neat stuff in here. All right, and we're going to apply these 9 photos. And so now I've got my grid of things. And actually, I take it back. This one's kind of cool. Maybe we'll edit that one. You know what? Let's do this. We'll swap you out. All right, so we've got a cool photo up there. Maybe we'll go back to that. We'll see. We make a copy just in case I change my mind. All right. And so now I've got the photo that I want to edit. So I'm going to pull that in here in a sec. I'm going to move all of these to the back. So that way we still have our bar here on the bottom. Let's move that up. All right. So what I want to do next is I want to start applying some filters to this. So I'm going to want to do a couple of things. I want to have a screen where this is blank. I'm going to pull these icons here down into my screen, and we could probably bump all of these up a little bit. So let's go to 24, 24, 24. That's breaking something. Let's do, okay, and 24. Breaking something too. All right, we'll just do that manually for the moment. All right, so I've got my icons here now, and let's just spread these out evenly. We'll do a nice 24 pixel grid between all of them, and we could probably space that out more as we go, but for the moment I'm going to leave that here. So those are kind of my selections. We'll bring this down just so we show that that's not selected at the moment. And let's go with a primary color for this app. Let's do something in maybe the blue range, maybe or a hot pink. That's kind of cool. A little red. Yeah, there we go. All right, so that's going to be my edit. I want to do filters here now. So what I'm going to do then is I want to duplicate this image down. I'm just going to scale this down nicely. And we'll bring down some copies of this. Once again, I'm going to bring in and I'm going to say, filter. We'll make that text dark so that we can see it. Over here, we can bring this down so it's not quite as large. All right, so now I've got this set up. Again, I'm going to go to repeat grid. I'm going to turn off my shadows, make sure those are all off. And we're going to pull this over so we've got a variety. I'm going to bring these in a little bit, probably more like 8. And there we go. And now I can ungroup this. I want to set up some names, and we'll name these as we go, and do it like that. But okay, so I've now kind of quickly got my screen set up. Let's add 1 or 2 more icons just so that this does make sense. We can do a little back arrow here, and this is perfect, something like a send out. So we'll make this a little bit larger. Don't know why that's distorting it, but let's bring that over. We'll just manually bring that up for the moment. All right, that's more or less right. Okay, and we're in good shape. So we've kind of got the foundation now for this, but now I want to add a couple of things. So I'd love to create some kind of gradient or filter that I want to apply on top of these, and then I'm going to name out the different options. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here to Photoshop, and really easily I'm just going to create a couple of layers, and over here on the library side you can create a new library. I've set one up called Multiapp, and I'm just going to create some cool gradient combinations. So maybe here we'll go with like this really bright blue, and we'll bring that into like a deep red, and I'm going to use my gradient tool, and I'm just going to pull that over. So something like that. And now all I have to do, I can name these layers whatever I want, and I'm just going to really quickly pull this over and drag and drop it in. And so you can see I've set up these different effects, and you guys can set these up any way you want. If you wanted this to be a different opacity, you can come over here and set this up to, accordingly. I'm not going to mess with that because we're going to also use blend modes, which is a new feature in Adobe XD. So I'm just going to bring these right over and carry them over. So you guys set up as much as you want. If you wanted to set up multiple layers, multiple files, again, you can just bring these files over and then work in Adobe XD going forward. So if you've got legacy projects that you now want to work with in XD, you can easily drag and drop those in as well. But we're going to head back over to our app. And now I'm going to hit Control-Shift-L. That might be Command-Shift-L if you're on Mac, or you can come over here and open CC Libraries. And as I go to my library for this project, you can see that I've got these different items set up. So I'm going to just start dropping some of these in here really quickly. I'm going to set these all up on the side. All right. So let's start with, this one might be cool on top. Let me just remove these for the moment. So I'm just going to layer this right on top. I'm going to match that corner radius with 8. And let's just make sure that that's lined up correctly. Cool. Now I can come over here and I can play with these blend modes. So I'm going to jump in and I just start looking at these, see if there's something that I like. Multiply's a little bit dark. That looks really harsh. Ooh, lighten's kind of interesting. Screen, overlay, color dodge, those are ones that we might work with often. And you just kind of find like the soft light is kind of interesting. So it just softens that up just a little bit. But you guys play with these. The different colors that you bring in might require different effects based on how they work. But that one's kind of neat. So I'm going to pull this in. Let's actually do this on a separate screen. I'm going to remove that. Okay, so I've got that set up. I'm now going to duplicate that layer, and I'm going to bring that in over here. And I'm going to set this up to match this. All right, and now we'll call this, I don't know, Ocean Sunset. We'll call it Sunset. We'll keep it open. Keep it simple. So we can come in, we can now name these layers, and I'm going to come in and I'm going to do that for some of these different items as well. So with each one, I might bring it over and have a different effect in mind. So like, let's bring over this purple one, which could be cool because that'll just kind of live right on top here. It's got a similar tonality, and let's just see, maybe lighten is kind of cool. Like, again, play with these. You guys figure out what styles you like, but we're gonna be bringing those over, and now I can bring this one as well. And I'm gonna create, let's see, we did that with lighten. So I can even just come down here. I could technically drag that over, but we'll bring this in so that it's fresh. And I'm gonna resize this, put it right on top, and build that out. And let's call this one lasers. Reminds me of like James White Signal Noise, that kind of like pink and purple in there. That's kind of cool. And we'll grab two more of these colors. So let's grab maybe this orange color, and let's grab, let's see, maybe this green could be kind of cool. All right, so we'll dupe those off one more time, and that'll fill out our effects. And one thing that we can do too, if I wanted, I could bring in like this orange, I could just drag it and drop it on top, and it'll keep the settings that I had for that other item. I'm gonna pull them independently just because I don't want to deal with any naming issues just for animation. So we'll keep them separate. And let's see here, maybe we'll do, again, fine, oh, that's kind of cool. Screen is really interesting. And then you can mess with, if we go back to screen there, you can mess with the opacities. So, you know, something like that is kind of subtle. So we'll bring that one now down here. And we will resize this accordingly. And we could call that, what did I have? That was the red one. Let's call it, as I blank live on camera, let's call it, I don't know, warning for the moment. That's terrible. What do you have, cotton candy? It's not quite cotton candy, but let's, oh, what's the orange soda drink? Tang. Let's just call it Tang for now. And then we're gonna do one more. We'll pull this over. Grab 8. All right, and then again, we can just play, you know, I've found screen working really well. Maybe we'll pull that in, maybe do a little bit of an overlay. Go a little harsh. I know that doesn't look great, but again, we're just kind of playing with stuff. So let's do one final version there. All right, and that will get us all the way. Okay, so now let's pull that over to the right, and I don't know, let's call this one Neon. Oh, Surge, that brings back memories. All right, so we're gonna come in and I'm gonna group a couple of things. Let's actually also pull out all of these. Oops. Because I want to use that final one as the finished version. Okay, so we've got that. I'm gonna grab all of these items. I'm gonna paste them on each screen. And actually, let's do one more thing. I'm gonna group these. And I'm going to come to my layers, and I'm just going to say this one is no filter image. This one is going to be sunset image. Layers. And the reason I'm naming all of these lasers image, is when it comes to the animation, I want these to be seamless. And actually as I do this, I don't want the whole image. I probably just want to do this top layer transitioning. So we could do something really interesting here. I'm going to actually change what I was planning to do. Let's just copy all of these in. And what I want to do now is I'm going to set these up. So sunset filter, let's do, this layer is lasers filter. This one here, tang filter. And this one here, let's do neon filter. All right, so what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna start on this screen with this in every situation. So I'm just gonna actually copy paste this, and I'm going to hide it. But let's do this one at a time. So let's hide that, bring this over, bring this over, bring this over. Okay, I'm gonna actually delete all of these, and let's come in here and let's grab all of these filters, and we're gonna bring the opacity down to 0. And then I'm gonna create a new screen with each of these. I'm gonna bring this back up. So we'll say sunset 100%, that's fine. Then I'm gonna bring over the next one, grab my filter, let's grab lasers, let's pull that up, over, we've got tang, make that super bright. All right, and then this one here, we've got our neon, and we'll bring that in somewhat. Okay, so now what I'm gonna do is we are gonna set up this as a prototype. So really quickly, I'm gonna come in, I'm gonna grab this image, and this is gonna go over here, and we'll do an auto animate transition. And then from here, I'm gonna set up these to go to each of the individual screens. So here, I'm gonna come to sunset. I'll just pull these over all real quick, and actually I want this to go here, auto animate, perfect. We'll do the same thing on all of these. And then we're gonna go to lasers. Cool, we'll do tang. All right, hopefully I didn't miss any of these and they're all going to the right spots. I won't worry about this one at the moment, but let's check this out before we wrap up for the day. So I can come in now, I can go in, I click this selection, and now I should be able to quickly apply. And I'd want to do an effect here so that way you know which item you're on. We're missing that, but I'm running out of time. But I can now quickly come in and I could play and explore with these different photo filters really, really easily. And through Adobe XD's Auto Animate, it's gonna make those look really cool. And I can mess with the way that those items come in. And the way, just remembering how I broke that down was I have all the photo effects there on that first layer. They're all just at 0% opacity, so that when it transitions from screen to screen, it's going to fade it out and fade in whatever the other color is. And that's what's going to be creating that cool transition. So I hope that helps you guys out. I hope that gives you a starting point for today. And again, remember to jump in there. You guys can do a lot with these photo apps. Mess around with some photo filters, mess around with different settings if you guys want to jump in here. Things like cropping. You could do some cool stuff with auto animate and expanding images, maybe zooming in a little bit. So have some fun with that. Let us know if you guys have any questions, and remember to submit your project afterwards. You can come up here to share for review, and then this here you can create a link, and that'll copy a link for you that you can then share in Discord and get feedback on your project. So thank you all so much for tuning in. We'll be back Thursday and Friday for 2 more challenges this week, and then join us next week for a progressive challenge where we'll be working on a project Monday through Friday. That's going to be one consistent project rather than these one-off projects. So thank you guys. Have a wonderful day, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Well, here we are back in the hot, muggy street of